So recently I saw a video that was very, very interesting about agrivoltaics, or it went by a couple of different names, and I'll link the video. Basically, the idea is to combine a photovoltaic system, which is this solar cells, and agriculture, so you have the solar cells above your photovoltaic system. This they calculate with just 1% of the land we use could power all the US, or 1% of the agricultural land we use. And we wouldn't have to destroy more land and everything. And you might be wondering how plants can grow under this whole thing. Well, the simple explanation is that you don't need, there's already too much sunlight for plants to use, and they only absorb sunlight to a certain extent, so the rest is wasted. So if you have a photovoltaic system high above it, it can absorb that extra light, and the rest of the light around it can just spread out, and that spread out light can be used by the plants. Kind of like how you still have light underneath the shade of a tree. It can even make the whole system more efficient in many ways, because it can keep water vapors more, which cools down the solar panels, making them more efficient, but also helps keep water for the plants. It can help lower the amount of UV damage and stuff to plants, which helps them grow better, and animals and stuff. It can help keep some climate control. It can protect them from harsh weather events such as snail and hail and stuff. But for the best results, they're using very complicated controls. And they're also not using the full area of the thing because, well, they're working on translucent solar cells, but they're not using the full area for many reasons, and that is, one is you can absorb in the extra area light that plants can absorb, because remember the plants are green, they don't absorb green light, so it'd be better to have green solar cells that only absorb it and let other light in. But even translucent ones will lose a lot. So how would we make a system that's better? Well, one way that we can only let in the light that plants can really use, so we can use more of it for solar cells in the same area without fancy controls. And the reason why I don't want to have all these fancy controls with machine learning like they're doing now and stuff, and just have the solar cells more permanently fixed, and you don't have to control how much light they let in and out, is that fancy controls like machine learning and stuff use a lot of power. So this will make it more efficient, and you have to design algorithms, and they could be very reasonably specific, or specific on certain climate events. And it might be scenarios you haven't predicted. Is with optics. So remember that I have a bunch of videos also on concentrated photovoltaics, some ideas for better optic systems for them. It's a link. But focusing sunlight actually makes your solar cell more efficient. And you can here focus the sunlight, bounce it off a panel, and into the solar cell. And this means the solar cell takes up very little area. Then you can have a very efficient reflector that reflects only the sunlight that plants can use, and everything else is filtered out. This means this then can hit here and then spread through a small hole in the lens, which then spreads out the light over a wide range of area. This filter, you could even make it so it's adjustable, how much light it absorbs or does not absorb, which would be a huge, huge help to have but you don't need to. An adjustable system would mean that you could, if there's excess of the good light that plants can use, you can still use it to power the solar cell. Now, to make this system even better with less controls and stuff, you can just work on optimizing one thing, is you could do a bunch of other things, such as you could install LEDs and stuff during certain times of the day where there isn't as much sunlight to give the maximum amount of sunlight. So a lot of the times during the brightest part of the day, there's excess sunlight. But during the part of the day that there isn't excess sunlight for it to absorb, you can give it that light, so you can have this plant more continuously producing it at the optimal efficiency it can. And then you could also work on narrowing down how much you have to use with machine learning, because some light is going to sneak in between the sides here and here, but you don't have to optimize the algorithm as much for the full benefit or most of the benefit. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard. With your help, I think I can do it. Thank you very much. Again, goodbye.